Hey everybody, today we're going to go through the voter registration shifts for the month of June. This is from Michael Pruser. It's not my own data, and if your state is not included, normally I would say that your state just doesn't report their voter registration by political party. But this time, Pruser actually has less states, only about half of them. So I'm not sure why that is, but we're going to start here in California. We don't get this state every month, but it's the biggest state out there. Let's see what they've got. So the margin in this state in 24 was 20.1% for Kamala Harris. Notice over here on the left, they've got active party registration. Some states report it as total party, but actively, this state has 23.1 million voters. And they have front end automatic voter registration. That means you can opt out when you're at the DMV. Some states have back end where you can only do it after the fact. Other states have no AVR. And of this 23 plus million, between the two major political parties, Republicans represent 5.78 million. Dems are at 10.4. Other independents or unaffiliateds are just under 7 million. Now, the last time California reported their data, it was in April. So the changes since then are Republicans lost 4,700. Dems, they've gone up 15.4K. Other is up the most, almost 32,000. Now, if you don't register with one party or the other, you're going to be labeled an independent or unaffiliated. So I'm not sure how much voter roll cleanup there's been. Certain states do it at different intervals and they have different requirements. But the bottom line here is this blue state doesn't look like it's getting any less blue. Of course, in 24, it did shift to the right. This data looks good for the Dems, but as I say in every video, voter registration data is really just one piece of the puzzle. You've got to take it somewhat with a grain of salt. Look at the longer term trends, but it still doesn't tell you who's going to come out to vote and how they're going to vote. Now, having said that, the advantage between the two major political parties here is for the Dems, and that's by more than 4.6 million. If you go back to 24, that is lower though, where it was 4.7 million. So when you look at that, that does look pretty good for the Republicans, but again, it might just be a couple of drops in the bucket in this blue state. Back in 16, the advantage for the Dems was 3.6 million. So now that we've got this state out of the way, let's go through the remaining states. We'll start with the most competitive 24 margin. Here's Pennsylvania. Trump won this state by 1.7. From last month, Republicans here lost 700. Dems are up almost 5K. Other is up just 272. The advantage here favors the Dems by 62,700. Now that is clearly a lot lower than 131K back in 24, and back in 16, the advantage for the Dems was way higher, 916K. Couple other things to point out. Certain states might have a lot of legacy Democrats or to a lesser extent legacy Republicans. For example, a good chunk of these Democrats might have been voting Republican for a long time, but they never bothered to change their voter registration. And something else to mention is some of these states might have their voter registration shift from month to month if that state actually had a competitive primary election. I don't know how significant it could be, but sometimes people might cross over to vote in a different primary. Now let's rapid fire through the rest of these states. Here comes North Carolina. Trump won this one by 3.2. Since May, Republicans are down 1K. Dems are down almost 3K. Independents are up 15K. The advantage here is for the Republicans. It's 117,800. That's getting close to 100,000 more than it was back in 24, where it was just 23,000. And back in 16, the advantage was for the Dems, and it was significant, 646K. That right there goes to show you that voter registration doesn't mean a whole lot. If it did, back in 16, Dems would have been dominating every single race there, but of course that didn't happen. In New Jersey, the margin for Harris was 5.9%. Republicans gained 1,400. Dems are up 7,600. This time, others actually down 553. Dem advantage here is massive, 864K. Back in 24, it was 905, and back in 16, it was similar to today. It was 862. New Mexico's margin was 6% for Harris. Republicans lost 418. Dems went down 136. Other is up 1,700. The Dem advantage is 130K. Back in 24, it was higher. It was 154. Back in 16, it was just about 200K for the Dems. Colorado had Harris winning it by 11%. Republicans gained a measly 61. Dems are up 1162. Other is the big winner. They're up almost 13K. Dem advantage here, 95K. Back in 24, it was higher. It was 110. And back in 16, it was way lower. It was just 7K for the Dems. That goes to show that the voter registration data sometimes takes a few cycles to catch up. In Florida, it goes in the other direction here. Trump won it by 13.1. Republicans lost 3,600. Dems went down 12,000. Other is down 8K. So we've got some cleanup there, but the advantage here for the Republicans is way up there, 1.5 million. Back in 24, it was under 1.08 million. Back in 16, Dems had the advantage of their own, 327K. In Iowa, Trump's margin was 13.2. Republicans gained 2,200. Dems went up more though, 4,200. Other is down 580. The GOP advantage is 193,900. Back in 24, it was 173K, and back in 16, it was way lower, 23,900. In Oregon, Harris's margin of victory was 14.3. Republicans lost 3,800. Dems lost more, 5,200. Other is down also, 14,800. Dem advantage here is robust. It's 249K. Back in 24, it was higher. It was 275. Back in 16, less than half of what it is today at 118K. Next, in Louisiana, the margin for Trump 22%. Republicans gained 6,900. Dems lost almost the same amount, just under 6,700. Other is down 19,000. This might be the last month that Dems are in the lead here. Their advantage has dwindled all the way down to just 702. Back in 24, the Dem advantage was 86,700. Back in 16, it was way higher, 451K. Looks like the next update here is going to be a GOP advantage. The last state we've got this time is Oklahoma. Trump's margin 34.3. A little bit of a change here. Both parties going up. Republicans 117, Dems 181, other 1171. GOP advantage here is pretty stark. It's 676K. Back in 24, it was 606. And back in 16, it was way lower. It was 127K for the GOP. So that's all we've got this month. I wish there were more states. I wish every state was included. Even though Dems gained a lot in California, and even though their advantage is still clearly lower than what it was in 24, the bigger focus is probably going to be on the competitive state of Pennsylvania. For many, many months, Republicans were gaining in the registration data. Dems have had a couple of gains, including this month. So maybe Dems have stopped the bleeding, but again, I wouldn't put a whole lot of weight on these numbers. It's fun to take a look at. It's great bragging rights if your side is in the lead, but it all comes down to the election results. And so far, we've seen Dems having a lot of success in special elections. It doesn't mean it's going to continue, but it's worth pointing out. So this is it for this month. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about any of the data in any of these states? How about some under the radar states like Iowa or Oregon? What about Louisiana finally about to flip for the Republicans? How much do you care about this data? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.